Hi, Dan here. Welcome back to Vinyl Fury. And I've been meaning to make this video for a while, and I kind of have a feeling that it might mark a certain point in this record collecting journey for me and on this channel that I've been posting videos on for almost 10 years now. Next month, it's going to be 10 years since I uploaded my first video to the YouTube vinyl community. So what I have here is just a few recent vinyl purchases of new vinyl and a new release, and I'll talk about it a little bit more after I show them, but I think I might actually be done buying new albums on vinyl. So let's get into it. So the first one is, I alluded to it in my last Random Records video that I posted, something that I ordered that was kind of a big deal, and you've probably seen this being shown around the vinyl community. I know I have a few times, by people who are much more informed and articulate and, I guess, nerdy about the kind of things that go into a release like this. But for me, it was just an opportunity to get the best version of this album that I could, and maybe the best one that there is. So this is the UHQR version of Kind of Blue by Miles Davis, of course. The seminal jazz album from 1959. This is from Analog Productions and Quality Record Pressings. And this is their series of high quality releases in these nice boxes. They've done 2 Jimi Hendrix albums and I think Jethro Tull. And this is a big one. So this had previously been mastered by Bernie Grundman and released on Classic Records. And Classic Records was acquired by, I believe it's Analog Productions. So this is basically an update, an improvement on that Classic Records version of it. The vinyl formulation that they've been going through iterations of over the years, they seem pretty proud of it as it is now. It is a very nice box. Got a booklet, several pages, photographs, history of the album. This is a technical specs for the UHQR vinyl. It's a flat profile from edge to center, and these are hand pressed one by one on I think what they call a fine belt press. So, I mean, this is all handmade from the pressing to the boxes and everything. It's all very involved, which is why it costs quite a bit. So this is limited to 25,000, which is quite a lot, especially for a release like this, which is, expensive, and it's quite a process for them to produce this many. I ordered it pretty quickly upon the announcement of it, and the first batch that was sent out was 6,000, and I made it within that timeline. This is number 505, actually. I don't know if we can get in on that. So you'll notice that I opened up the box and the record wasn't actually in there. That's because, for some reason, this inner sleeve is fairly tight fit for this. Even without this plastic sleeve that I put it in, kind of have to tilt it sideways in order to get it in there, and that just didn't feel right to me. And I've seen mention of this by others as well. Of all things, you would think that they would kind of have that in mind, but it's okay. I've just been storing it outside the box. So it's a very nice reproduction on a glossy gatefold Stoughton jacket. That crease, numbered like I showed you, and on a clear I believe 200 gram vinyl. That 6i label reproduction. So, as I said, quite expensive. $100. Now, I've talked about, vinyl prices going up and quality seemingly going down. I seem to have issues more than I don't with new vinyl. But I knew this was a project that was specifically aimed at creating a premium, high quality vinyl pressing and doing everything they could to make sure that it was top to bottom fantastic. It is a premium product. It is a premium price. That does make sense, especially knowing all the steps and all the research and development and care that has gone into this. I knew that on one hand, it would be the only version, at least in stereo, of this record that I would need. And I also knew that even if there's 25,000 of these things, even if it ended up feeling like it wasn't worth $100, it would be worth more than that resale at some point. It already is. So it seemed worth it to do. It sounds amazing. I've played it once, and it was just huge and very present. Just felt like things were where they were supposed to be. The sense of space was immaculate. It was so full and just right there. Very quiet, flat pressing. It's everything that it was supposed to be, in my opinion. So high price of entry. I've seen it, or at least talked about, that it was sold out and then available again and sold out. I don't know if they sold out of all 25,000 at this point. I have heard that they're going to do a 45 RPM pressing, which would probably edge this out a bit on that point, but not enough for me to get it again. But if it is sold out, maybe that's an opportunity to wait and get that one. But even if you do have a great copy of this, like I have the mono Record Store Day version from 2013, which is widely regarded as a really good pressing, especially of it in mono, which I'll keep. Even if you do have something like that, or even the classic records pressing, I've heard people who have that say this is even an improvement on that. So there you go, Kinda Blue UHQR. I went for it. So this is something that was also fairly expensive, but also felt like a worthy venture, all things considered. So this is the 4-album box set from Failure, one of my favorite bands. It's called 1992 to 1996, and it's their first 3 studio albums and a collection of rarities, demos, I think, odds and ends. It's a big booklet. I don't even think I've gone through this whole thing yet. It's got a lot of information on there, actually. What I did like, there's a little ribbon here they keep underneath so you can pull these out. Their first album, Comfort. I did have this on an ORG pressing, which I liked well enough, but I sold that after I got this. Their second album, Magnified, which I also had that ORG pressing of. This is a double album, and I think they weren't super happy about the way that one was put out, because I think it was missing a segue or some segues. Something about it was incomplete. But this is a nice 2 LP version of that. Of course, their masterpiece, Fantastic Planet from 1996. It's also a double LP. I still have the 2010 pressing, which was cut from the master tape by, I think it was Chris Bellman. And that sounds great. It's a pretty good pressing. It's always bothered me that I think one or two sides are a little bit off center. And that one has gone up an incredible amount in value. And I've considered selling that now that I have this, but as I'll get to, I don't know. And yeah, outtakes and oddities. This has some pretty great stuff on it as well. So yeah, this was $120 plus shipping. Failure, especially in the last few years, they've gotten, I don't know, they've been odd with merch. So when they announced this, I was like, it's probably going to be too expensive for me to care about. But at $120 as a box set to have all these albums, Ken Andrews, the main songwriter and singer, he originally mixed Fantastic Planet, and it's one of the best sounding records of that era to me. He remixed the first two albums, and on Comfort, definitely a huge improvement. Magnified, it's different and better in some ways. Not exactly next level, but it does sound good. Fantastic Planet, I think he just remastered. I think it's just a little bit louder, a little bit more low end. And this was delayed. I think it was supposed to come out early 2020. And it was delayed for obvious reasons. Then they just couldn't get it pressed. Where I don't know where they were trying to get it pressed at first, but they changed to GZ vinyl, which is fine by me. They're typically good. Not exactly audiophile most of the time, but good enough. And so they all are fine pressings. It all sounds good. They also sent out a CD quality wave of all of the albums as it was being delayed. So to those who bought the box set, they all got this digital download, which you can buy separately now for like $50. So this, not surprisingly, has like quadrupled in price on Discogs. Like I said, it was $120 to begin with. So I don't know how long I'm going to keep this. It's great and I enjoy it, but if somebody's willing to pay that much, and I still have the high-res waves of all of this to keep, I might just do that. We'll see. So that's why I haven't sold that original pressing of Fantastic Planet. One of them will go, I think, at some point. So the last thing is a new release that I've been looking forward to for quite some time. And I think I would be fine with this being the last new release that I buy on vinyl. I've considered this for a while, but for some reason this feels like a good stopping point. Like I really do feel like I can say I don't think I'm going to buy new records on vinyl anymore. So this is the new album from John Mayer. It's called Sob Rock, which is kind of a, I don't know, curious, kitschy title, but it all makes sense. The aesthetic is just fantastic. It's a great album. I think it was just done in all the right ways. It's an excellent production. It's very focused and cohesive. Some people think his last record was not. I enjoyed that as well. There was 3 songs that came out as singles over the last couple of years, and they're all on here. Carry Me Away being one of them that is definitely a different version on this. It has a different drum pattern, which I actually like better. I think New Light and I Guess I Just Feel Like are, if not exactly the same, pretty much the same. This was again produced by Don Was, and as you've heard on the singles like Last Train Home and recently Shot in the Dark, it's definitely like a 1987 version of a John Mayer record, which I love. And it's not just 80s. The 80s have kind of been revived in some popular music. This is an album done with that flavor who actually gets it from the textures in the music and who's playing on the record, like Pino Palladino and Greg Phillinganes, to the aesthetic of this album cover. This looks like it could have come out in 1987. And the 2 music videos that have come out recently have all of that in there too, which is just great. So initially, I just ordered the cassette. I thought, you know what? I want to get something, but the vinyl is like $28, and I don't feel like doing that. So I'll go for this, which was not cheap by any means. But I figure this will be cool. It was only available on his website, and it's been sold out for a while. So at the very least, it's a collector's item. It sounds okay. It sounded like it was a little veiled. I might have to play it again after demagnetizing my deck, but I think it's just the way it is. So then I was looking on Amazon, and it was a little bit cheaper, and I thought, okay, you know what? I think I'll get it, but I think I'll allow for this occasion to be like, this is the last time I'm doing this. It's going to be great on the 12-inch. I had read that it was pressed at RTI and all that, so I was like, this will be a good one to go out on, I think. So I ordered it from Amazon. I opened it up, and before I even I opened the package, looked at it, I could tell it was warped. It was just obvious. So I was like, of course, that's why you order from Amazon, easy returns, right? So I go on the app, immediately, defective item. Usually it's, do you want to exchange it or return it? This time it was exchange it or return this refund, meaning I could just get my money back and keep the item, which I've had at least once before on like a smoke alarm, and that made sense. This is the first time I've seen this, but it also kind of makes sense because I send this back, what are they going to do with it? They can't resell it, especially not new. It's just going to end up on a pallet somewhere. I don't think distributors take returns on vinyl, so I guess it actually makes sense, especially for Amazon, to just say, all right, do whatever you want, we'll give you your money back. So they did. So I got this for free, essentially. Now it is a little bit warped, like I said. I mean, I wouldn't play without my clamp, but my J.A. Michelle record clamp, which I have a video on this channel talking all about. It's my most viewed video. I've had that for years, and I wouldn't go without it. Many records I've only kept or accepted because I have that to even them out. So it plays just fine. Side A was just off-center enough that I could hear it, especially on the synths. So I would have been disappointed if I spent $25 and that's what I got. But it was free. But it only goes to reinforce it's just not worth it anymore. I forgot to mention that nice price sticker, which is, just peak aesthetic for this. So yeah, I really do feel confident that I can say that I'm just done buying new records, new releases on vinyl. I can't say that I won't ever get a reissue like this, if it is like this. The Music on Vinyl label is still doing a lot of great reissues. As I sit here now, I don't know of one that I am wishing they would do so I can have it on vinyl or anything like that. So I won't say that I'll ever not buy a new piece of vinyl, but new releases, I think I'm done. And I feel fine about that, especially with Apple Music now streaming in CD quality or above in high res for $10 a month. That just makes it easier, honestly. And I think that, maybe if anything, I'll just start going back to used record stores. And that's just something I haven't done in a while. But I think that's what my vinyl hobby will consist of, mostly going forward. And I really don't see myself doing it that much, but when I do, I think it'll be that. So yeah, like I said, this kind of feels like a I don't want to say a milestone, whatever, for my vinyl collecting journey and for what I do on this channel, because I'm not going to have a lot of new stuff to show of any sort. I mean, this is it. We're caught up. And I've been doing the random records series, and that's cool. I like, just not knowing what I'm about to talk about and then getting into it, thinking about it, where I got it, stuff like that. And I think I'm going to do one more of those, but I just had the idea of kind of doing something bigger and pretty much the opposite of that, which might be a nice way to like wrap up these 10 years of talking about vinyl and my collection as I've gone through on this channel. Kind of wrapping that up and putting a point on it, if that makes sense, before I go forward with whatever's going to happen. So I'll talk more about that. I think I'll just go ahead and do that one more random records video and then talk about what my idea is going forward. And that'll probably be it for what I'm doing right now, because this is a attic room. It is August, and I had to turn my AC off for this, and I'm dripping sweat. But I'm glad I got to do this tonight. I've been looking forward to talking about this especially. And yeah, it's not like I love vinyl. I love it, but it's a complicated relationship. And if you've been watching my videos for any number of the last few years, you've kind of heard this conversation. So yeah, it's not over, but it's changing. All right, so that'll do it for this one. Thanks for watching. Leave your comments or questions or whatever you have. And until next time, take care and enjoy your music.